Ashton. How goes it? Thanks for the videos. Stuff's looking great. Okay. Let's talk about... What are we going to talk about first? Let's talk about rudiments first, because I got that in front of me. Okay, so your tap flams were awesome. Maybe that was just a little no biggie mistake from the other week, flipping your feet around. But I think it was worth mentioning because that is something that happens sometimes, and it can be troublesome if we end up hearing things the wrong way and flipping our beat. If you're playing with people, they will get very confused if we do that. Okay, so the tap flams were great, perfect, everything's good. So let's look at the next one on our list here, which has a very funny name. We're looking at the Pata Fla Fla. Pata Fla Fla. Fla is like kind of short for flam, I suppose. Pata, I don't know. I don't make up these things. Pata Fla Fla. It's cool. I kind of like this one. It's a little challenging, which is good. So, looking at this, it is two lines. As we've seen in some of the other ones, we end up playing the first line starting on one side, and then the next line starts on the other side. Also notice this one's a little different. So I'm trying to get this in the light here, or not too much in the light. We have this measure, and then we repeat that measure, then we repeat the measure again, and then at the end, it's only the first part of the measure, and then we have just a regular paradiddle that brings us into the second line. So that's where this one's a little different. You got to look out for that at the end. And I think they just wrote it that way. Alan Dawson, of course, who wrote this. It just kind of leads into the next one. It sorts out your sticking so that that doesn't get all jumbled up when you try to make that transition. So regardless, you just got to pay attention to your stickings, your R's and your L's, and of course your flams. This is the first time, I think, where we've ended up with two flams in a row right next to each other, where we don't have something else in between. And that can take a second to get used to. And so if you look at the first measure of the first Pata Fla Fla, we start with a right-handed flam, and then we have a regular left, a regular right. Then we have a left-handed flam going right into a right-handed flam. So that's where we have two together. And then it happens again at the end of the measure, right? We have a regular left and a regular right, and then we have a left-handed flam right at the end there, which of course will lead back into this right-handed flam that we started with. That explanation was probably not necessary, but just keep an eye out for those things. It's very easy to get jumbled up in this one and get the sticking mixed up and get the flams and the sides of the flams mixed up. So just look out for that. I'll play it for you slowly. So one and no, let me just give it to you at 70, which is already pretty slow. Here it is without the feet. I'll play the whole thing, both lines. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so It's interesting. It's cool, and you just gotta be on it because, like I said, it's easy to get mixed up in those stickings. It would be easy for me to play the wrong-sided flam in the wrong place, things like that. Here it is with the feet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. So have fun with that. I'll take a look at that next week. Let's go on to 16th note accents. So cool. You were hanging out on number 3. That's fine. That looked really good. So you're getting it in the middle of the drum. You're still missing or once in a while or whatever. But look at me. I still miss once in a while. It's hard to be really consistent like that. I find it easier to be really consistent with a rim shot when I'm just playing like a backbeat, 2 and 4 on the snare. But when I'm doing complicated things on a drum, it's easy to not be very consistent. But we strive for consistency, and if you practice it enough, you'll be able to do it, as would I. And know that we can play rim shots on all the drums, not just the snare drum. So tom-toms, floor tom, you can play rim shots all over the place. And that's helpful, actually. Situations where you're playing loud and it's loud music and you need a fill to really pop out of the mix. I'm going to play rim shots, you know, and maybe I'll miss one a little bit here or there, but it doesn't really matter. If anything, it actually makes it sound kind of cool, I think, but we do strive for consistency. So this week, we're going to add the feet, and I'm going to write that in on the third one here, and you can write it in on yours as well. Or you may not even need to write it in. Once you hear it and see it, it's a pretty simple idea. We're going to be playing bass drum on quarter notes. So all the quarter notes are going to be bass drum. Beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. So as you can see there, I just wrote those in. I just drag them down into that lower bass drum spot. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 quarter notes. That continues into the second measure. I might as well write that in too so that we don't get confused. And so this bass drum thing, it continues. You're just playing bass drum quarter notes the whole time. Never stops. So again, it looks like that. So the whole 2 measures is all bass drum quarter notes. Repeat, repeat, repeat. And we're also adding in the left foot. Left foot's gonna chick on our hi-hat on beats 2 and 4. Okay, so we notate that with an X at the very bottom here. And it looks like this. Okay, so bass drum and left foot X, that's left foot hi-hat. And that happens on 2 and 4 throughout this whole thing. This is a very common motor. Have I talked about motors before? We'll get into that deep at some point, but a motor is just when you have something usually in your feet that acts as a motor or an engine. It just runs and runs and runs and never changes and just provides this nice foundation to layer other things on top of the hands. Very common in drum set, and this particular motor, bass drum quarters, left foot 2 and 4, is really, really common, particularly in jazz music and particularly like early swing big band type stuff. Basically, those drummers have this going on in their feet like 99% of the time. Whether they're playing time, some sort of groove, or they're soloing, this motor just, it never stops. So it's cool to introduce this to you now if you haven't played it before, because we're going to come across this again, for sure. So, let me jump down to say, I'm going to put myself at 80. And so at 80, the motor, just the feet, sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this, I played with this African dude from Ghana for a while, playing African music, which was really cool when I lived out in Portland, Oregon. And he used to do this to me when he was a drummer himself, but I was the drummer in that band. He was the singer, percussionist. And when he wanted the hi-hat to open and close, he would look back at me and do this. So that's why I was doing this. I was kind of like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. So now let me put the hands with that at 80, and I'm gonna play the accents as rim shots, hopefully, and you can see what that sounds like and what it looks like. So this is the third one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. So go with that, and I think the goal is we're going to need to play all of these on the page with that foot pattern before we talk about using other parts of the kit with our hands. We got to get comfortable with our feet playing all these accents, and to be honest, it wouldn't hurt to do a whole nother week playing these accents as rim shots, going for the middle of the drum. Let me just run the page. So I'm gonna play each line once and go right to the next one with the feet so you can hear that. I'll play it at basically the same tempo. I'm gonna turn my click off though, because I can't really hear it when I'm playing those loud rim shots, and I just end up getting off of it a little bit. And what I would do if I was actually practicing this like you are, I don't know if you have this problem, I bet you do. Metronomes, they're not very loud, so either wear headphones so that you can hear the metronome, or run the metronome through a speaker and crank it up so you can hear that thing. If you can't really hear your metronome, that's an issue. And there's no point in even trying to practice to it if you can't hear it, because you're just going to be like getting off of it all the time and trying to get back on it, and that's really training you to actually have worse time if we end up doing that. So cool, I'll run the page for you. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So all those were good, except I messed up the fourth one. Let me play that fourth one again for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Alright. So, do what you can with that. Get the feet in there. And show me what you've got for next week. Rim shots. Cool. Alright, so... you were saying that by holding further back on the stick, you're able to get a better rim shot. That's cool. Your rim shots did sound really good. So I think that video I made last week helped when you were getting the rim shot, which was much more often, I would say 80% of the time, I was hearing a really good rim shot. So that's pretty good. And it was the sound was right. So now you know where that needs to be. As far as playing back on the stick to get that, if that helps you get that right now, I think that's cool. But know that you may not be able to rely on that all the time because, okay, I don't know how detailed I want to get about this right now, but basically, you can hold the stick in many different places, as you're seeing. And some drummers I know hold the stick in the same place all the time. And they're amazing drummers. I tend to move around constantly. And there's also a lot of drummers that do that are amazing drummers. So, I don't know. For me, moving around is better because I get different things out of different positions. Although I can see the benefit of staying in the same place all the time because you just really, really understand that one spot and can stay there and be able to pull off everything from that one position. I did go through a period of years where I tried to train myself to stay in the same spot, which I think was beneficial. But in the end, I end up just moving all over the place. Sometimes I'm way back on the stick, like just barely holding onto it. Sometimes I'm like almost like halfway up with my fulcrum, or even a little bit more. The difference is mainly it's like a volume thing. So if I need to play very quiet and still have a lot of control, I'm going to move way up here. But if I don't need the control and or I need the volume, I'll come way back on the stick to the point where the butt end of the stick isn't even coming out from my hand. It's like in my palm, you know. And I have not a lot of control. Like I wouldn't want to try to play rudiments in this position. But if I'm just playing fairly simple rock beats, for example, and I need power, or sometimes I need reach, I need a little extra length, I end up doing that. As far as like playing backbeat rim shots, I can do that from any position, which brings me to my point is that if you're finding it helpful to be on the back for now, I think that's good. Go with it. But once you understand rim shots a little bit better and can pull them off all the time, then think about being able to do it from anywhere on the stick. That would be my advice on that. Okay. So as far as that, yeah, everything you played looked good. Like I said, it's looking like you're getting it maybe 80% of the time, and it was the right sound. So how about I give you the next couple beats, and we'll just approach it the same way. So looking at our quarter note backbeat grooves, let's look at the second one now. This one, okay? And again, the notation here could be a little confusing. We have partial 16th notes in there. We have dotted notes in there, dotted 8th notes. But I know your ears are good, and as soon as I play it, you'll know what it is. So that makes me happy. 90. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a cool beat. Notice that there's a bass drum, a snare drum, and a hi-hat all at the same time on beat 2. That's a little awkward. Other than that, I think once you hear it, it's groovy. I would probably start by slowing it down. Whoops. This is 70. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and without changing my hands, this is the stick position I just had. Okay, so that's a little interesting, right? It's just what my body does at this point. So in my right hand, I was way back on the stick. I'm just playing quarter notes. And I wanted them to be pretty loud, and I wanted to have this sort of throw feeling to the stick. And so I think that's why, in that case. In my left hand, though, I was sort of in a neutral kind of position. I'm not really choked up, and I'm certainly not far back. This is sort of an average kind of position here, and probably because it's a little easier for my rim shot, maybe, in this position. But anyways, regardless, so that's that one. Check that out. That's a fun little groove. And then let's look at the 16th note backbeats. So we're going to look at the second one now, which is this one. And again, this will all be with rim shot, because that's really what we're working on right now. And at the same time, we're learning some cool new beats. I'm going to put this up to 90. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, groovy. Okay. Awesome. So that should make sense. I think that's about it for today. So we had our rudiments, we had our 16th accents, we added the feet, and 2 new grooves for our rim shot practice. All right. Groovy. Thanks, man. Nice work. See you next week.